We
All
said
right.
if I'm the only one, I can do my own practice and you can have your time.
Don't worry. Okay, so have a blanket, one blanket only. Okay, a little different. We're starting off differently today. Okay, so one blanket, and then watch. You'll lie on your left side. Okay, I'm lying on my right side so I can hear you. I'm lying on my side. Yeah, the arm overhead like this, the legs bent, and the blanket under the head and neck. Okay? So side lying position on the floor. Make sure that you're directly on your mat because there's a particular reason why we're doing this today. Okay, so the legs are at a 90-degree angle. The arm is stretched overhead, and the blanket is just to raise my head a little bit so that my neck doesn't ache. So the head's not drooping, okay? See that the left hand, the crown of the head, and the tailbone are all in one line, parallel to the front edge of your mat, and the shins also in line with the front edge of the mat. Okay. So then, have your right hand resting on your side ribs like this. Okay. And just take Shavasana here for a couple of minutes. Side lying Shavasana. And as you rest here in Shavasana, feel the breath in the side ribs. Feel the breath moving through the side ribs. Feel the side ribs expanding in response to the breath. So what we're doing here is we're creating a restriction on one side of the body. So for you all, you're restricting the left side of the body in order to feel the movement on the right side. So when we put a stoppage, when we put a boundary on one side, then the other parts are going to move more. That's normal for everything, right? That applies to everything. Today, as Congress prepares to vote on impeachment, when you put a boundary on the executive branch, then the other branches of government take on more responsibility. So here, as you put a restriction, a boundary on the left side ribs, you'll feel the right side ribs move more. Also notice what's happening in the back body. So you should feel the breath front, back, and on one side. Don't do anything special with the breath right now, just observe the movement of the rib cage. Now, from here, you'll roll onto your abdomen. Slip the blanket under your forehead. Have the arms at the sides of Hasta Bakasana. Forehead down. Lie on your abdomen. And then feel the breath here. So of course now the boundary is on the front body, the front ribs, the abdomen. They can't move very much at all because we're face down on the firm floor. But then you should feel the sides and the back, especially the back body moving. You can contrast this, compare and contrast with the position you were in a moment ago. So now that you are lying on your left side, that left side is free. Observe what's happening there, and then observe how the rest of the body is responding to this position in terms of the breath. And just to recognize that every position has its significance. Every position has its value. So for instance, prone Shavasana is often used for respiratory conditions. You know, in the hospitals for COVID, they keep the patients for long periods on their stomach like this, so that the back body, which is where most of the lung tissue is, has a chance to expand. You can also bring your attention to the diaphragm. And maybe you can sense, it's not necessarily something that you can feel, but perhaps you can sense or visualize the movement of the diaphragm in the back body. Now you'll roll over to your right side. Okay, it's the same thing. Take your right arm overhead. Legs are bent. Yeah, so you're facing away from me now. And you can rest your left arm on your side ribs and feel with your hand. Now notice that the weight of your hand is also creating a little bit of a resistance, so you don't have to keep it there the whole time. But the purpose of the hand here is just so that you can feel through other sense organs, hear through the sense of touch, what's happening with the breath. All of this is to kind of sensitize us to the placement of the breath, the movement of the breath, the movement of the diaphragm. All of this is to help us to become more sensitive to our respiratory system. And of course, when we're talking about pranayama, it's not just the respiratory system, but it's the energy flow through the body, because prana is not air. Prana is the vital force, the ki, the chi. So sensing, becoming more sensitive and becoming more observant of the prana, of the ki. You can also do a little compare and contrast, like, does this feel different from the other side? The lungs are, of course, a little asymmetrical because of the heart. So the left side of the lungs are a little bit smaller than the right side because the heart is a little bit to the left. So you might notice slight difference in the ribs, slight difference of the air, slight difference in the response. Just to be observant, just to be sensitive, none of this is problematic. It's just interesting. I hope you find it interesting. Okay, now you'll lie on your back, only head support, no bolster. So you'll roll onto your back for a couple of minutes. You can use the blanket for your head, but have the back ribs flat on the floor so that you can feel that resistance of the floor. We don't usually think of the floor as resistance, we think of it as support. But I'm calling it resistance in that the back ribs are impeded from moving. It's creating a boundary on the back ribs. So probably you felt quite a bit of movement in the back ribs when you were lying on your side or when you were lying on your stomach, when you were prone. But now that you're supine, then the back ribs don't move as much. And then but then there's more movement in the side ribs and front ribs. So it's always a trade-off. So notice what's happening here. And then once again, visualize a diaphragm. You know, the diaphragm is not necessarily something that we can feel like we can feel our skin, but it's something that we can sense and become more sensitive to. And it's something that you can visualize. You've probably all seen pictures of the diaphragm and you understand the way it moves. How it moves down as the lungs fill, how it moves up as the lungs empty. As the lungs empty, it goes into its resting shape, which is kind of a dome. And then when you inhale, the diaphragm pulls down like a bowl. So it goes from bowl to dome as you inhale and exhale. So as we become more sensitive to our physiological body, our organic body, pranamaya kosha, it's called in Sanskrit, then we can be more sort of participatory with that layer of ourselves. We can be more, I'm not saying that we have like total, control. Maybe some very advanced yogis do, but for most of us, it's not that we have like control over our organs, but the more sensitive we become to our own pranamaya kosha, then the more we can sort of participate and cooperate with our body. So for instance, when you feel your heart racing, you know what to do to help your heart slow down. When you feel your breathing getting heavy, you know what to do to slow down your breathing, and so forth. Okay. Let's wrap up this observation, this Shavasana in 3 different positions, 4 different positions. And so now roll to your right side and sit up. Okay, so have a strap, a bolster, and 2 blankets, okay? A strap, a bolster, and 2 blankets. So we'll do some seated pranayama now. But with the strap. So make a big loop and then put it around. Let's start by putting it at the level of the navel, okay? And it's not tight, It's a little bit loose. I can easily fit my thumbs under it, but I can definitely feel it. It's not like so loose that it's falling off. It's definitely around my waist, but it's just not very big. I cannot easily put 2 fingers under it, but I can easily slip my thumbs under it, okay? A little snug. Now, set up your blankets. So 1 blanket to support your legs, 1 blanket for your lap, for your hands, okay, like we usually do. So now what's nice about seated pranayama, of course, there's no resistance. Notice that. There's nothing touching my trunk. So hopefully I will be able to feel the entire circumference of the trunk moving. So first we'll start with the strap at the abdomen. So the strap is creating a slight resistance, okay? And it's to help us to really feel where the breath is. All right, so let's start with we'll start with some gentle Ujjayi, so just Ujjayi stage 1, breath observation. So sitting up tall, roll the shoulders back, glasses off, palms up. Place your hands in line with the shoulders, lengthen the elbows down, balance the head at the top of the spine. Lift the chest, and then bow your head down, Jalandhara Bandha, without dropping the chest, without letting the trapezium bunch around the neck. And just sitting here, I'm gonna have my head up so I can watch you. So just sitting here, exhale completely. Take a slow, soft inhale. A slow, soft exhale. And simply feel the breath moving into the strap, moving away from the strap. So as you inhale, you'll feel the strap tighten a bit. And as you exhale, the strap will loosen. Just understanding the placement of the breath. Understanding where the breath is touching. You might also feel the circumferential and vertical expansion of the breath as well, but right now we're focusing on the breath. The strap is giving us a desha, a place to place our dharana, a place to focus. And then finish this cycle. And gently bring your head back up and open your eyes. Okay, so just sort of file that experience away. And then now we're going to move the strap to not quite the bottom ribs. Now that I'm at about T10, so it's below the breasts, below the, maybe like an inch below the bra strap band if you're wearing a bra, about an inch below that. Okay, so it's the lower part of the ribs, but not exactly the bottom ribs. Okay, and once again, snug enough that it'll stay, but not so tight that it's gonna prevent movement. Okay, roll your shoulders back, Jalandhara Bandha. And now I'll do a series of breaths here. Exhale completely. Inhale, feel the breath Pull it, pushing into the strap as you inhale. As you exhale, feel the strap loosening a bit. Do a series of breaths here. It's not that the breath is not moving in other places, but we're especially feeling the movement of the breath in this lower rib region. So just be really cognizant of that. Apply your visualization of the diaphragm, going from dome to bowl to dome to bowl as the rib cage expands circumferentially. Also, you can notice, oh, maybe you feel the strap most in the front body, but not in the back body, or more on the left side or more on the right side. So see if you can equalize the pressure in the strap so that you're pushing it out circumferentially in an even way, like an even circle. Finish this breath. Bring your head up. Change the cross of the legs. So kind of a little game I play with myself is that on odd numbered days, I cross the left leg first. On even numbered days, I cross the right leg first, just so I can make sure that I'm working more or less symmetrically. Now the strap's going to go above the breasts, under the armpits, like if you were wearing a strapless gown or wrapping a towel after you come out of the shower. Above the breasts, below the armpits. Okay? Not too tight. Tight, but not too tight. Okay. And then roll the upper arm bones out, lift the chest, exhale, bow your head down, jaw and barrel bone. And now do a series of breaths here. Can you feel the entire circumference of the strap? Are there places where the skin is not touching the strap? Are there places where the body is shrinking away from the strap? Is one side pushing into the strap more than the other? Is it an even expansion of the strap? Is it an even lift of the strap? Can you feel the vertical lift as well as the circumferential expansion? So resistance is actually a really important component of Iyengar yoga and of all movement. You know, we need to apply resistance in everything that we do. Finish this cycle. Then bring your head up when you're done. And now loosen the strap and just let it dangle. It's not touching you now, but just let it dangle down by your hips. Loose. And we'll do a series of Ujjayi breaths here, okay? With no strap. So see if now you can feel, with no resistance, outer resistance, see if you can feel the entire circumference and the vertical expansion of the breath. So inhale, exhale, bow your head down. Exhale completely. Inhale. Remember the different stages of the strap placement as you inhale. And maybe you can retain the imprint of the strap on your skin. And then exhale when you're ready. Your own pace. Don't try to follow my instructions now. Just go at your own pace. Ujjayi, stage 8. Bahya Abhyantara Ujjayi. Inhale, exhale, Ujjayi. So we're keeping the breath pattern simple so that you can really maximize your sensitivity and maybe retain the imprint, the impression. Like, after you remove your strap from your arms in Sarvangasana, the imprint of the strap might stay there for a little while. So can you retain the imprint of where the strap has been? And feel the expansion at all 3 points. Okay, take 3 more Ujjayi breaths here. Also, notice the exhales and the movement of the abdomen inward as you exhale. Because then the dome, because then you're creating the dome of the diaphragm, right? It's going from bowl to dome. So the abdomen shrinks, pulls back as the dome of the diaphragm lifts as you exhale. When you're finished with your 3 cycles, then bring your head back up with your eyes closed. Sit quietly. And then lie down for Shavasana. Flat on your back. If you want support for your head, feel free. If you want to cover yourself, feel free. If you want to put your bolster on top of your thighs, that's also nice. That's a little bit of resistance on your legs, which often helps the legs to settle, the mind to settle, the nervous system to settle. So it's up to you, Shavasana, any way you like. I'm going to be ending the meeting shortly, but you can stay in Shavasana as long as you wish. And in Shavasana, just observe the resting breath. Observe the unmediated resting breath. And I will end the meeting, but you stay as long as you wish. Have a wonderful day. See you later if you're coming to class later. Take good care.